many of the candidates, they make this one mistake in listening module. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel Sneha for CELPIP and IELTS. And in today's video, we are going to talk about listening module of CELPIP. In the listening module of CELPIP, we have 6 tasks in total. So as you can see here, we have listening to problem solving, then there is listening to daily life conversation, then there is listening for information, listening to a news item, listening to a discussion, and lastly, listening to viewpoints. So these are the 6 tasks that you have in listening module, and these are the number of questions for each of these tasks. And these tasks are given individual minutes. So you have 8 minutes for task 1, 5 minutes for task 2, 6 minutes for task 3, 5 minutes for task 4 again, 6 minutes for task 5 again, and 8 minutes for task 6. And there are some of the differences and some of the similarities in these tasks. Now, what happens is that your task 1, task 2, and task 3, all the 3 tasks, these are going to be dialogues. Dialogues means that there is going to be 3 speakers in these. Then your listening task 4 and listening task 6, both of them are monologues. Monologue means that there is going to be 1 speaker. And listening task 5, here instead of an audio you have a video clip, and here there will be 3 speakers. So these are some of the details about listening module. We have 6 tasks in total. Top 3 are dialogue and 4th and 6th are monologues. 5th one is a video-based task in which you will have 3 speakers. Now, when we talk about 1, 2, 3 here, the questions, they are also in the form of audio. On the other hand, in 4, 5, 6, in these 3 parts, questions, they are in the form of text. They are in the written form, not in the form of audio. So these are some of the similarities and some of the differences in various listening parts. Now, talking about this listening module, so what happens is that an audio is played for each of the parts. So let's say you're at part 1, an audio will be played, and once the audio finishes, then you can see the questions. So first the audio will be played and then you can see the questions. So questions, they are not going to be there in front of you while the audio is being played. That means that you have to retain the information of the audio. You will listen very, in a very focused way to whatever is being said in the audio, because you have to remember the details. And I've seen that many of the candidates, they make this one mistake in listening module. And that is, they never focus on notes making. Now, if you really want to have that, 100% accuracy in your listening module, if you want to make sure that you get band 11, band 12 in your listening module, notes making is the key. Because when the questions are displayed, once the audio is over, once the questions are displayed, because there are so many things, so many details in the audio, that maybe you can only remember 70 or 80% of the information. There's 20-30% of the information, it's kind of very there, but we don't remember exactly what was said related to that information. So if you want to make sure that you have accuracy, please focus on notes making in the listening module. Let's talk about the question types that you will have in the listening module. So in listening module, we have 3 types of question. Now, these are similar to the reading module. We have seen these types of question in reading module as well. So in reading module, we had specific detail type of question, if you remember. Then there was main idea type of question. Then there was inference based question. We have the same 3 types of question here as well. So in specific detail type of question, what happens is that in the audio, there must have been, mentioned some keyword or some key detail, and you have to focus on that keyword, on that key detail for your answer. So in the audio, you'll be searching for the key information that's being asked in the question. So these are specific detail type of question. Now main idea theme type of question will ask you something like that: what are the two people discussing about? What is the main topic of discussion in this audio? So whenever you're asked about main idea theme, these are called main idea theme types of questions. Here you will not be searching for any particular key information, but your focus is to understand the overall idea. Then comes inference based question. Now these are generally the most confusing ones, again in listening as well. We have seen this thing in reading as well, that these are generally the most confusing type of question, and same thing is valid in the listening module as well. Now in listening module, inference based question will again ask you some information that was not directly stated in the audio. Rather, you have to understand the audio, and based on your understanding, you have to come to the conclusion that is this the right answer or not. So here the information, it's not directly stated, it is implicit, it's hidden, indirect, and you have to understand it to come to the correct answer. And almost all of the parts of listening will have all the three types of questions majorly. You will see that. Now let's talk a bit about notes making. Again, it's a very important part of your CELPIP listening. Please do not ignore notes making in your examination. Very much required. If you really want to maintain that accuracy, if you want to be there in band 10, 10 plus, 11, 12, then you have to focus on notes making. And it's very easy to do that. What basically you have to do is, while the audio is being played, you have to write certain words on your rough sheet that you're given in the examination. Now, number one point is, do not write everything that's there in the audio. You're not supposed to write each and everything. Each part has its own focus in the audio, and you just have to focus on those words. So we majorly focus only on the keywords, the main words that are there. For example, let's say there is a sentence in the audio. Let us say that he was present during movie screening. So let's say this is the complete sentence that's there in your audio. Now what we're going to do, what we're going to write in our notes is only the main words. You need not write grammatical words. Grammatical words are words like was, during, articles like a, and, the. All these are grammatical words. So totally avoid them. Focus only on the main word. So main word will be, let's say we are talking about he, so I will just write present, and then I will write movie, and then I will write screening. And even when writing these three words, present, movie, screening, it might take me like 2 to 3 seconds easily, even if I write really fast. If it will easily take me 2 to 3 seconds. So what I do, I make use of symbols, I make use of abbreviations. Now, how can I do that over here? So instead of present, I am going to write a check, a tick. And then for movie, maybe I will just write MOV. And for screening, I will just write SCRN. So that means I have written present in movie screening. Now my notes should be understood by me, right? No one is going to check my notes. Whatever I write over here, I should be able to read them when I want to answer the questions. So make use of symbols, make use of abbreviations. And When the audio is being played, do not write your notes in the form of paragraphs. Always use bullet points because these are easier to read. And we'll talk about this thing that in part 1, 2, 3, we generally use columns for notes making. I'll come to part 1 and then I'll explain how we exactly do that. So please remember, do not write everything. Use bullet points, focus on keywords, avoid writing grammatical words, use columns, and make use of symbols and abbreviations wherever possible. All right, so now let us discuss part 1 of listening. Now, part 1 of listening is listening to problem solving, as you can see over here. And if you remember, we discussed this thing that it's a dialogue. So you'll have two people. Generally, there will be one male and other one is going to be a female. Now, since it's about problem solving, so out of these two people, one will present the problem and the other one will present the solution. So such will be the nature of conversation over here. Now in this part 1, your audio, it's further split into 3 sections. So first, the first section of the audio is played and related to that, you'll be shown 2 to 3 questions. Then the second section of the audio will be played. Again, you will have 2 to 3 questions. And then the third section of the audio will be played and again you have 2 to 3 questions. In total, you have 8 questions in part 1. And in your exam, you get 30 seconds to answer each question. Now, the questions here are also in the form of audio. They're not going to be in the written form in your examination. And this is the part 1 of the audio. So in your examination, this thing will be written over there that listen to the conversation, you will hear the conversation only once. So it clearly says that you can hear the conversation only once. You cannot, pause it, you cannot play it back. Nothing can be done with the audio once it starts playing. And you're given 30 seconds to answer each question. Now this section of part 1 of audio of part 1, that is going to be under 1 minute long. So remember, this audio is split into 3 sections. So this is the first section of the audio. Let's listen to it.
Hello, how can I help you?
Well, I'm living in an apartment and I'm always cold. I bought an extra heater, but it's not helping. Someone suggested that the problem is the windows.
That could be. When you look closely at the windows, do you see double layers of glass with some space between the layers? Or is there just one sheet of glass?
Just one. And I have noticed that I'm especially cold when I stand in front of them, even when the curtains are closed. I've even seen frost on them.
So they're not double paned and probably old. Have you asked your landlord to replace them?
That would be a waste of time.
Now for this part 1, the audio that you just listened to, for this part 1, how you'll be doing the note making is you'll be dividing your columns, dividing your page into 2 columns. So you can do it in such a way. Divide your page into 2 columns, write M for the male, F for the female. Let's say male begins the conversation, you start writing it over here. Then whatever the female responds to it, you write it here. Then again, let's say male responds to it, so you write it over here. So you're going to do it in such a way. All right. And remember, make use of abbreviations, make use of symbols for your keywords. So let's come to the questions for this part. So these are the 3 questions related to the section of the audio that we just played. Now, question 1 is, why did the man come to talk with the woman? A says his home isn't warm enough, he wants to buy a new curtain. His space heater isn't working, he wants to buy a new window. So, man presented the problem, the woman was giving solutions, kind of suggesting things, right? So, he was there because his home was not warm enough. He clearly said this thing in the very beginning of the audio. And then he said that I think my heater is not working. So he was not sure about it. The one thing that he was sure about is that his home isn't warm enough. He said that his apartment is always cold, right? So that would be the correct answer. He wants to buy a new curtain. No, that's the solution that the lady, gave it. That's not at all why he was there. And he was not sure about it, that whether his space heater is working or not. Problem was that his home wasn't warm enough, and then he wants to buy new windows. No, again, this was a part of suggestion, part of solution, not what he was there for. Then question number 2 says, what does the woman ask about the man's window? So she very clearly said that whether they have two sheets of glass or not. She very clearly asked him that whether you think that there are two sheets of glass in the window or not. So that would be the answer. Then, what is most likely true of the landlord? So, in the end, the man very clearly said that it's a waste of time. When the lady asked it, did you talk to the landlord about it? He very clearly said that, oh, it's a waste of time. Waste of time means that landlord is not going to do anything about it. That will be futile, right? So he will not replace the windows. B will be the answer. So you have the audio, you have the question, you have to listen very carefully to the question, take down the notes, refer back to the notes when you're answering the questions. Let's move on to the next part of the audio. All right, so now let's listen to the second section of part 1.
Well, there are a few things I can suggest. First, you can caulk the edges.
I'm sorry?
Caulk is like toothpaste, but thicker. It comes in a cardboard tube, and you use a special tool to squeeze it out.
Ah, I know what you mean. The tool works like a gun. You use it to squeeze the white stuff along the top, sides, and bottom of the window. It fills the crack between the wooden trim and the wall.
Exactly. Another solution is to put plastic over your windows. We have kits that include the plastic as well as tape that's sticky on both sides.
Surely a thin sheet of plastic won't do much good.
You'd be surprised. It's not the plastic so much as the 4 inches of air you'll trap between the glass and the plastic. It's the air that acts as the insulator.
Now, question number 4 says, what does the man tell the man to do? What does the woman tell the man to do? So this is your option A. This is your, sorry. So this is your option A, this is B, this is C, and this is D. Now the options here are in the form of images. So what did the woman suggest the man? If you remember, they were talking about caulking, right? She said that it's kind of a thick substance like a toothpaste. You put it inside a tool that is kind of a gun, and then you squeeze it and you put it around the edges. Something of that sort was being discussed. Now, if you match that description of caulking with one of the images, the correct answer would be D. As you can see, the man is holding a tool which is like a gun and kind of putting a white thick liquid around the edges of the doors and windows. So that would be your answer for this one. The next question is, what does the man think of the plastic kits? So he was confused. He was totally confused about it. He was confused at whether he is going to buy plastic kit or not. So the answer would be confused. He was not sure about it, that whether he's going to buy it or not. So this would be the answer. Now let's come to the last section of the audio for part 1.
I'll take the caulk, but not the kit. If I cover my windows with plastic, I won't be able to open them.
That's true. Another solution is to get some really good curtains, specifically thermal curtains.
What are thermal curtains?
They're special curtains made with a layer of foam. The layer of foam acts as an insulator, keeping the warmth in and the cold out.
And you sell those curtains here?
We do have a few, but to be honest, you'd be better off going to the drapery store downtown. They have a good variety of fabrics, designs, and colors. I can give you the address.
I'd appreciate that. Thanks.
Now, the thing that was being discussed in the conversation was they were kind of, reaching to a final decision that what the man is going to do next, right? So that was the end of the conversation. Now, the question here is why doesn't the man buy the plastic kit? He very clearly said it in the beginning that if he does that, he will not be able to open the windows. So, A would be the correct answer. You can go back to the audio. If it's still not clear to you, listen to it. It's there in the very beginning of the audio. Then question number 7 is, what does the woman think about the curtains she has for sale? Again, she very clearly said this thing that she has a very limited selection of the curtains. And that is why she was suggesting the man to go to another store that is there in the downtown because they have more selection. So D would be the answer. And 8th is, what will the man likely do next? So when the woman, she suggested that you should go to this store that's there in the downtown, he completely agreed to it. He said that he's going to go to the store and he will check out the selection over there. And that is why she even said that she'll be giving him the address. So that is means, what is the man likely do next? So the man will buy some new curtains from that store in the downtown. So that would be C. And this is how you solve questions related to CELPIP listening part 1. Now I hope my explanation of the questions they were clear to you, and yeah, so that's about it for today. And in the next video we'll be discussing many more questions related to CELPIP listening module. And keep on liking my videos, keep on sharing my videos with whosoever needs them. Subscribe to my channel so that you do not miss out on any update. I'll meet you in the next video. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.